Hi, good day. Joe here over at woollycottage.com in Cumbria. Very hazy outside today. Don't know what it's going to do. I'm praying for a little bit of rain, then I don't have to take the hose out later on and water the garden. So, last week was a nightmare trying to get my videos uploaded, and then my phone broke on me. So, here we are today. So, what I'm going to do with you today is use some beautiful locks. These are hand dyed by me. They're Blueface Leicester locks. You can find lots of different colours on my website, and I can do custom orders as well if anybody wants any. I mean, look how beautifully these pull apart. I get it from a lady who is a breeder of the most beautiful, fantastic quality locks. I mean, there's hardly any vegetation in them when I'm cleaning them, because I order by the kilo load, which is easier for me to manage, and the expense of buying an entire fleece. But her girls are really quite small anyway, and they're absolutely adorable. So there's a little farm called Secret Small Holding Farms in Wales. So yeah, that's the locks. These ones are called Bella. They're one from a listing that I've got on the website, and I've got about 30 grams left of that, so I'll relist them later on if you want to buy some of those. But I do have lots of other colours. And the bat that we've been spinning with, I've pulled that out because I might as well. So this is what we're going to do today. So if you go and catch up on my live chat that I did last week, Calamity Jane, I mean, my middle name is Jane, but Calamity Jane or what, last week, bit of a disaster on my live chat. Dogs are playing up and everything, but I did do some spinning of with locks, and I showed how to just spin locks directly onto themselves. So that's what it ended up with. And I did a bit of a boucle with some polyester thread that went all the way through it, and you end up with poking out in little bits and pieces. God, my video quality on this new phone is definitely a lot better. So yeah, so you've got lots of dingly dangly bits of thread that come out. So if you go pop over, I will do the video properly next time, but I'm sure I've got a video where I've shown how I do that type of yarn spinning before. I could do it now, but I'm just going to do these bats and locks, and then hopefully I can get this video uploaded, because it's part 11 today of Back to Basics. So yeah, there we go. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to, bear with me a minute, I'm just going to go and find the end for my, there it is. Bear with me, it's right at the side of me, my flyer. So I'm using my Kromsky, there we go, my Kromsky treadle. I do get asked what it is that I'm using when I'm spinning with. If I'm ever doing any art yarn or bulky spinning, this is the wheel that I use. It's the first spinning wheel that I ever got. It's a Kromsky Fantasia double treadle wheel, and it has got the art bobbins. It does come with it. When you buy it, you get the standard flyer, but I paid for the art yarn flyer. So at the time when I was buying it, because I was just fortunate enough to have enough money to buy everything all in one go. But I think the art yarn flyer with the Kromsky and 3 jumbo bobbins is around about, I think, it was 120 quid about 5-6 years ago when I got my spinning wheel. Okay, because before that I used to spin on the drop spindle. So that's the one I'm using. So that's Freya. Oh, it's about to fall off. There we go. So that's Freya. That's what I'm spinning on. My usual workhorse is a Kromsky Prelude, which is downstairs, and that's Morgana. I don't need any more wheels than that. If I have another wheel in this house, apart from the little electric wheel, then the other half will have a fit, because I just don't have the room for it all. I've barely got enough room for myself in here. So I'm going to get myself positioned. She's feeling a little bit wonky. No, she's fine, because I've got a rug under my feet, so I just need to make sure that I'm positioned well. So there's my bat, and I'm just going to unravel. When your bat comes, it's all folded over on itself, so you just want to just find where it opens up just ever so gently and just roll it out. Okay, and I'm just going to do strips of yarn today. We will get into the bat prep, which I've done a video of that before. It is in my timeline from about 2 summers ago. I'm going to show you different ways to prep your bat. So depending on what type of bat that you've got, whether it's a multicoloured one with no direction or means for how it's intended to be spun, you get gradient ones, colour striping ones, and they can all be stripped in different ways so that you can get different style effects of your yarn. So I'm just going to peel that into strips. That's all I need to do. And then I'm just going to treat it like it's a roving. Okay, so I'm just going to ever so slightly draft it out. It just makes it easier to spin with, and it makes you spin a little bit quicker as well. And because I just love spinning with roving with bats, because I get so many different colours in there, especially when it's a multicoloured bat with no purpose. I will do some roving, but I don't dye rovings per se. I mean, I've got some up there for sale, so if they don't sell in a couple of weeks' time, I will get one of my rovings down and I'll show you how to do locks with rovings. Very similar effect to doing it with a bat anyway, but I just find it easy, and I've always got an excess of bats to use, so I only ever take off my oldest stock if I want to use it for myself. So I'm just going to set up my flyer now and my bobbin. Take these locks off. I've got lots of excess of bits and pieces in. Let me just grab a pair of scissors and cut this stuff off here. Take them off. So yeah, I mean, when you're spinning with locks, you want some really nice quality locks. When you're doing it with an art bat, you want them going to be open-ended, i.e. the cut end isn't matted. You want them open, so that there's lots of play in it and a bit of movement as well, because you want to trap your locks inside. You can use all sorts. You can use mohair locks, Surrey alpaca locks, which are the more curly ones. I do have a pack around here somewhere, so I have them stashed away, because my favourite alpaca is the Surrey alpaca. Alpaca, both breeds of alpaca have got different qualities to them and different uses, especially if you're using it for weaving with. One's better for warp, one's better for weft. And that's generally the gist of it. There is a breed study back in my timeline if you want to go look it up. It should be under the playlist for breed studies, but you'll find it in there. So yeah, I'm just going to get started on this and I will talk you through. It's easy peasy. Just have a play with it. Just take your time and enjoy what you're doing, okay? There's nothing to be taken seriously about spinning. It's all about relaxing your mind and just chilling out, okay? So I've just put my end of my drafted bat into the end of my leader, and I'm gonna spin in the S direction, or is it Z direction? Do you know, I can never remember. I'm turning it anti-clockwise or counterclockwise if you're overseas. UK we generally say anti-clockwise, and I'm just going to start spinning that through, and I might do thick and thin. So I think I'll stick with thick and thin because I've got quite a lot of it, and I want it to be nice and textured, loopy. It's going to be it's going to end up being plied onto a core at the end anyway. Right, so I'm just going to stop it there. I'm just going to find my locks. I'm going to stick them down the side of me here. I'm just going to take one, put the other one there, and my ends will open up really, really nicely. Now there's a couple of different ways of doing this. So my ends have opened up. I could literally just, like you would do if you were with a roving, open up a little slot just in there. Okay, can you see that? And then I'm going to thread that through there, and that'll just trap in there, and I'll hold that like that, and I'll end up with this long piece. I'm just going to draft that a little bit and get my wheel going again. And that is trapped. Okay, so I'm going to let that go through. Right, so I'm going to stop my wheel again. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to find the end where it's open or fluffier. Just tear a little hole through there, drag that in. Now you don't have to leave it, do a small piece. You can do a full length piece and just hold it to one side like that, loop it through, and then go again and just draft as you would do. And you end up with one long piece all trapped inside that yarn. Do some thick thin pieces. There we go. You're going to tighten up. There we go, my tension a little bit so it's pulling out my hand a little bit more. I'm doing this in the opposite side of my hand, so it doesn't feel completely natural to me. Draft it out with my right hand. Even though I am right-handed, it doesn't feel, you would think it'd feel natural to do it like that. It's not. I generally quite use my left hand quite a lot when I'm spinning. Slightly ambidextrous that way, I suppose, when it comes to crafts. So I'm just going to stop that there again, and I'm going to add this really, really long one. And I'm going to open it up again in the middle, and I'm going to pull it halfway through. Okay. And just pinch it there while I just draft back my fibre. I'll move the camera in a minute so you can see exactly what it is I'm doing. And I'm just going to lock that in place when I'm drafting. You want to make sure that you've got just the right tension on your wheels, so the wheels are actually pulling the yarn in, but you're also wanting to make sure there's enough tension on the twist that your locks are going to stay in place. Okay, now there's another way that you can do it. Take off your roving or your strip of fibre that you're using. Just grab yourself another lock and just add that on with your end and let that lock through, and then stop your wheel again, get yourself another couple of pieces, and this is practically the same as what I was doing last week on the live chat. So there's one that's got lots of ends, and I can just hold that on the top there with my fingers, and the energy will grab that, and I'm going to keep it up there so it really does tug on it. Okay, and I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to do a couple of these so you can see. Right, so how many bits of locks I've got in here? There's a nice open one there. Okay, see how it's all open at the bottom? So again, I'm just going to place that on the top and get my wheel going again. And this is exactly what I was doing last week on my live chat from the video of the week before. And you're just going to make sure it's in there. And then I'm going to add in my fibre from my bat or my roving again. And that is completely locked into place. Okay. I'm just going to spin on a little bit more. So you've got two variations of doing that. You could literally just tear off a piece, leave that open, grab yourself an open lock and just pull at it so that the ends, well, it's got something to catch on to, okay? Turn your wheel, let the energy catch onto those fibres and let them go through. There you go. And then add a fibre back into place. That locks it in place there, that end tip, and that's not going anywhere. Let's grab another piece. I'm not going to bother drafting it because I'm quite happy to have thick and thin yarn, so I'm going to move my flyer up a little bit. And I'll just keep going like this. Some more thickish pieces. And I'm going to just wait there. I'm going to draft it back a little. Okay, I'll turn you around so you can see from another angle what I'm doing from this side in a bit. Because the light's really good on this side. And I'm going to, that's two together, so I'm going to put that there and grab this piece that I've got on my hand, and I'm going to open up that little hole in there and I'm going to just feed that through, hold it into place and let the fibres twist and catch that in. There we go, that's that one. I'm going to do it again, so I'm just going to open up, put my finger in there, grab another piece, and I'm going to pull that one halfway through. There we go, see? So you've got one dangly bit and another dangly bit here. And I'm going to go again. I'm just going to hold that there, let the energy twist up, and it's locked into place. And you can do the exact same thing with ribbons. If you've got any ribbons that you want to add into your art yarn, do the same sort of thing, just stick them in there Teeswater locks are a good one. Masham locks are a good one to use. Lincolnshire long wool, I'm positive, I've never experienced it, but it's a good one to use for the locks because it's quite long. Cotswolds is another good one. So I'm just going to draft that back a bit, and I'm going to open up my gap again. I'm going to put this piece in. I'm just going to pull that through, hold it in place, let that energy run up, and then start to draft out. There we go. So that is trapped into place. And that is the crux of it. So I'm going to carry on doing this. I will move you to the other side so you can see what I'm doing, and we'll get through this and then we'll ply it up as well. So stop, get yourself a little area where you can pull your finger through. There's that long one, there's a long one. So I'm going to put that through there. I'm going to hold it, fold it through. So you've got two pieces. Okay, I'm just going to draft my wool back a little bit and let that get trapped. And there you go. And then what I can do with this end bit before I put on my new one is join in the piece I've opened up. So just let that hold on the end there, and then again drop that piece onto there. And with this really long one, I'm just going to catch it on the end, the tip of that lock, and let it twist around. And just leave it like that, and I'll grab my other bit of roving or drafted bat and join that onto the end, so that traps inside that roving, and that's it. So carry on a little bit more. Make sure when you're doing your thick and thin that when you get to a really chunky piece that you let quite a bit of twist go into it so it holds its shape when you're applying it afterwards. Okay, so again I'm just going to open up a space here, grab a really long lock. I'm not going to fuss around with the ends because I want this one to hang out, so I'm just going to pull it through that little makeshift hole that I've done, draft out my fibres a little bit, and there we go. I'm going to peel this off. I'm going to get some of my locks. There's some that are joined together, that's fine. And I'm going to place it over the top. And I'm going to let the fibres just join in. I'm going to keep it quite upright until I know it's completely caught. And there's some dangly bits in there as well in that piece. And carry on spinning, and I'm going to make sure that this piece has got some open ends, and I'm going to catch that onto there, and there's the tip of the lock, and then catch that piece onto there, and these pieces are all joined together anyway. There's a little piece sandwiched in there, I'm just going to let that catch up, and then I'm going to get my bat roving and then catch that on. And that's it. Just playing around, sticking them in places, put them all together in the same area if you want, depending on what you're looking for. You don't have to do thick and thin yarn if you don't want to. You can do thin yarn and add the locks as you go along, because it will make for the most delightful crocheted shawl or jumper or cardigan or whatever, with a lot of texture in there. Some thicker pieces. I'm going to stop it again. I'm just going to draft back a little bit, create my little hole, add in a lock. I'm going to open up the ends on this one just a little, and it's going to go in there. I'm going to hold it out while it traps itself and then draft. I'm going to stop my wheel and do the same thing, just draft this back a little. So I've not got too much in my hands and in the way. You want to make sure you've got a clean space. There is a really nice long piece there. So I'm going to plonk him in. I'm going to pull it half and half, lock it into place. I'm going to push my flyer ends up a little bit and then spin again. There we go. I'm going to stop there and I'm going to add some locks on now. So I'll save that one because it's a nice long one, but I've got some pieces here that are quite mushed together. So I've got my yarn, I've got my lock, it's open-ended, and I'm just going to hold that into place a second, and I'm going to hold it tight upwards and let that lock on. And I'm going to leave the little ends in. There's another piece that's stuck onto there, and they're all sort of stuck in. I'm quite happy. There we go. I'm quite happy. I have that piece swinging around. See, look. So I've got a piece here. I'll just pull that back a bit. Leave those pieces sticking out. I've got some more here. Just pull them apart. Open up the ends on this one and this one. And I'm going to put that there because I've got a really long tail end here, and I'm going to join this piece in at the same time because I want these ones to hold into place. So just let that catch and then get up my fibre and just hold it over the top like you would do if you were joining onto your yarn anyway. Okay. One more roving to go through, and then we'll get the lazy Kate out and applying yarn. And you've got to stop it there and add this nice long lock in that. Just push it through with my thumb. And that's that locked into place. And I'll do again, see if I can find some nice colourful pieces. Right, so I've got a couple here, so a couple of locks there. I'm going to open up my yarn and add that in, loop it through and spin off. Just draft out a bit, lock that into place, and off we go. Open up a slice, put my yarn in that little hole, spin or lock it into place, and that is it. snap this piece off, grab some that are really quite small and cutesy, spin them and lock them into place. Hold them up tightly where the energy goes in and starts to grip onto them. There we go. And there's a nice big long piece with an open end on it. I'm going to just pinch that with my thumb in there, just so it holds. And they'll all twist around and the energy will catch onto them. And then I've got a piece that's just dangling here. I'm quite happy for him to just do his little thing. Catch this piece here onto there. Catch that bit onto there. And then you literally just, this is what I was doing the other week there on my other video that I couldn't get uploaded. You're literally just letting the energy of the twist grab a hold and do the work for you. When you're doing it like this though, you really do want to make sure you've got a lot of energy going into it so it holds onto your fibre for you. So I'm just going to stick this on the end now, let it catch on, and that will hold those locks in place for you. Yeah, you want lots of energy in that section where those locks are just joining onto each other, because they hold the locks in place until you apply them, and once you've applied them, that secondary yarn has got a hold of everybody. So I'm just going to mess with my flyer hooks, bring them down. My bobbin's starting to get quite full, but I'm nearly done now. Oh, there we go. Decided I want to go a bit too fast. Oh, it is on a second. Okay, so I'm nearly done with this. So I'm just going to, lovely teal one here with pink on the end, open up a hole, pull it through, hold onto that end, draft my whirl, and he should start going in. There we go. Do the same thing again, pull that through, there's a lock. I'm going to just grab that and pull him halfway through, draft it out. Stop my wheel, grab another loop, open up the ends on this one, and I'm just going to hold on to there, pull my fibre off, and just let that loop on. And if you just want to do one like that, grab your fibre again and just hold it over the top, and it will lock your fibre into place so it won't unravel. Okay, I'll do that again. So just find a nice one. I've got lots of nice ones here. So get your wheel lock, make sure it's nice and loose at the top, leave your tail hanging out. I'll just draft back a little bit and let that go in. Let your fibres catch onto that. There we go. Hold that down the bottom, pull your fibre off and just let it lay on top like that, just to hold those tips into place, and voila, it's in. I've got any more like that one? There's another one. Open up your ends, lay it on the top of your yarn that you're spinning, get your wheel going again, and it will trap in. And it starts to spin around and around and around. Pull off your fibre, lay it over the top, and off you go. So that's 3 different ways of applying locks to your yarn. That'll do. I won't put any more on because I'm coming to the end. And when I'm starting off, I like to have a clear distance between the next phase just until I find my rhythm. And that is that. So I'm just going to go and get my laser Kate out, and we'll go on to the next stage. Okay, so there I go, one full bobbin of art yarn with locks on. Look at that, it was really pretty. My bobbin was dragging because these kept getting caught in my tension at the back. So just a tip, if you've got a laser kite or a box with some dowelings in so you can create yourself a laser kite, especially for a beginner, when I take my bobbin off, I literally pull my bar out the back and I put it on the way it sits at the back on my spinning wheel. Okay, so my spinning wheel here, okay, where is it there, right, it's come straight off towards me and then gone onto my lazy kite in the exact same direction, so that I can remember that I've just spun in that direction. So when now I go to ply it, I have to remember to spin in that direction, and that it won't be not plying and the energy will just keep twisting and twisting and twisting. What you want to do is when you spin in the opposite direction is the energy starts to unravel and starts to sit neat and nice and relaxed on your yarn. Okay, so I've got to put my flyer back on. There we go, locked into place. I'm going to put this down in between my legs. Grab my locks before they end up all over the house. Plonk them there. Now this week I have got this, I think it's an acrylic. Let me see if I can get in and have a look. Yeah, it's an acrylic with nylon. So it's 92% acrylic with 8% nylon. And it's got like a stellina in there. You can see it's sparkly. And I like to use yarns like this when I'm doing art yarn, so that if the fibre does start to show through, and like your core yarn or your plying yarn shows through, then at least it's a complementary colour that's with it. Okay, so this is completely done and it's all squished and everything. It really is squished. Let me see if I can unsquish it so I can at least stand it up because the cone's absolutely done in underneath. Okay, so I want this on this side of my yarn for plying with. I'm just going to straighten it out, get my leader out from inside of here, thread that through my hooks, back through there, and then in there. It's a massive one, this one, so this leader is gigantic. There's no reason for it to be this big. There we go. Right, there we are. So you can see the threads I was using the other week there on, still on it. So I am going to now grab my end of my plying yarn and put that through there, and then I'm going to see if I can find the end of my yarn that we've just spun. And we all know what to do with this one. We've all done this a couple of times now. I've done these demos for the for plying onto a yarn, but I'll just do this and then I'll forward it on so you can see the end results are going the wrong way again, Joe. So get yourself a nice tension where you feel like the wheel's not going to completely yank out your hands. Make sure my leader yarn's not stuck in there. Just spin down normally as I would do. And now I'm going to start doing my my 90 degree or right angle triangle. So I get these lovely little spiral curls and coils going all the way down my wool, my plying yarn. Well, essentially it's a core yarn that I'm using. I'm not actually plying with this. I'm using it as a core so I can get these spiral effects on my yarn. Oh, I'm getting tangled in here. Oh, crikey. Right, there we go. I keep on going and we're coming up to the first lock. There we go. And we're just spiral plying it on. I'm quite happy to have, I'm going to stick a little bit more energy in that just so it holds its form, and then carry on. It's not making any difference with your plying at all or your core spinning. Just imagine it's just one gigantic coil. Look at that, isn't that pretty? You see? Oh, wrong way. And then spin down. And there's another one. It's just like a big fluffy coil. I'm just going to turn my tension up a little bit so it starts to pull out my hand a little bit better. There's one with a big dangly lock on there. It's still getting some bits coming out of it. Spiral. Coils. And I'm just going to come down an angle just so I can more trap those locks so they stick out a little bit more, and then go back up into my right angle position on holding my yarn. You may find that there's little bits of your yarn that seems to be have too much energy in it. Just give it a little twist and they will. See there's lots of energy in that bit there. So I literally just ever so gently just tug my hand in until the coil sits nicely. And then it'll ease it out. More coils in there. We're coming up for some locks in a minute. There we go. I'll just get to this next bit where we've got the locks that are lock spun together. There we go. More locks on there, lots of energy in those, so I just try and take my time a little bit on that section. Right, take my time. There we go. Happy days. There you go. There, that's my lock spun section that you saw me do. So I'm just going to spiral ply this piece. So just bringing my hand down, it's not up in the air at an angle, and I'm just going to twist that back on itself and then back down again, just to give it a different effect. It's about playing around. If you've got sections that are too thin, just ply it back on itself and cover over that section that the fibre was too thin, because you want a chunkier yarn. It doesn't really matter when you're doing this type of spinning. I'm going to spiral this one again because I want to keep this lock with its little tassel, and then come back up into a right angle. Got some more locks coming in a second. I'm going to spiral ply these and just put my hand back down into the normal positions I would do if I was spinning anyway, and now go back in to my angle position. And if I keep my finger sort of bent, then what it'll do is I've got some really strong energy in there, so I'm just going to overwrap that. It keeps my fibre from bunching up or not sitting properly on my yarn. It keeps it all together a little bit easier and gives me a little bit more control over how I want them to sit. Energy piece. There's a bit with lots of little curls in there, so I'm just going to tease them on. And again, I've got some energy pieces here. There we go. Here's bits with lots of locks that have been spun in, so I'm just going to bring my hands down as like I would do if I was just normal plying, and because there's such texture in there, I'll quite happily hold on to those, and then I'll come up a little bit more and then down, and when I get to a really skinny piece I'm just going to pull my hand up to right angle. When I get to a thick piece, I'm going to pull my hand down to grab those and then back up. So you'll do this sort of thing without even realizing that you're doing it. So I'll show you again in a minute. So my hand generally, to get the fibres to sit really closely, is up at this angle. I'm doing it up like this, it'd be out like this, but I'm just showing you for effect. I'm going to go back over that because this area of really thin yarn, and back and forth, back and forth. I'm just going to move my flyer arms over a little bit because it's starting to get a bit congested. I'll come up to some locks in a minute. Finger just tilted back a little. There's a nice big coil. So I've got some locks with the tassels on. Now you could just leave them. So what I would do, I would try and hold them with my finger to one side if they want to behave themselves. Okay, and spin them out of the way. So I've still got tassels in there. I'm going to come across some more in a minute. I'm just going to overwrap that piece. Right, so I've got a really long tassel here. So I'm just letting it core spin, and I'm going to let that, I'm not going to let it come anywhere near this core that I'm spinning on. And then you've got this effect with long dangly pieces, which is absolutely perfect for intuitive weaving. If you want lots of textures in there when you're spinning along, but you don't want to add in the locks individually into your weaving. Doing it on an art yarn means that it's already woven into place, well, spun into place, it's locked into place. You steam set your yarn afterwards, and it's not going anywhere once you've wove your piece together. Okay, so I'm going to carry on doing this, and I will catch you on the other side. So there you go. All those locks in there. Let me see if I can find one of those when you saw me double backing on myself. So let me see if I can find a little section you can see what it looks like. It's always the same, isn't it? You're looking for the piece and you know you've done it at least 10 times. There we go. So this piece here has been double backed. So I've come down and then I've let it back up to where the weakest part was that I wasn't happy with, and then come back down on itself. And it creates this extra thickness on the yarn. Have a little play with it, okay? So there's lots of energy in this. It does need steam setting, but on my 3D printed yarn ski knitting oddies, I can't actually steam set on these because of the plastic, because it's corn-based starch. So it's a biologically engineered. It's a byproduct, but it's a bit like a plastic, but it's not quite a plastic, but it does go through a process. So yeah, so I use those for my art yarns. And there we go. So I need to steam set this, so I'll just put it over my steam kettle later on. There we go. So I've ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 18 yards of Blueface Leicester locks spun on about half of an art bat, so it's probably about 50 grams of art bat plus the locks on there. How cute is that? So there we go. That is this week's episode 11, or part 11 of the Back to Basics spinning. Well, that's sort of spinning. Back to basics, really. So art yarn bat, or you can use roving with locks, and you can use a variety of different locks in there. So there we go. Isn't it really cute with all those dangly bits on it? So when you're weaving with that, you can have those hanging free from outside of the weave. Any questions or comments, do put them down below. If you like to support the products and me being able to make these videos and using the products, because they do come out of my actual own stock, but then it's something I can use in the future as well on future projects that we'll be doing for Back to Basics. And then at the end of it, I can potential to give away what I make from everything that we've made so far. So if you'd like to do that, you can find me over on Ko-fi. If you go into my main bio on my YouTube channel, there is a link in there for my Ko-fi account. Just buy me a cup of coffee if you could afford to, and that helps support. It's actually helped me buy an Appalachian alpaca fibre that I bought from a lady last week. So I was bought a cup of coffee a couple of weeks ago, and I used that money that was donated to me to buy a fleece for a future project that we can do on this channel, and I can put them on the listings as well from the website. Okay, so there we go. So I hope you like this video. Don't forget, it's really important to hit that like, and then other people can find me on the YouTube algorithms. Leaving comments below also helps promote my channel on the algorithms, and subscribing. That way you'll always know when I've uploaded a new video onto the platform. Watch out for me on Instagram and Facebook. I always put updates on there of when I'm doing next chats and things like that, or if I'm doing any giveaways. The giveaway was announced last week for 2 people, got £15 each to use against purchases on my website, and I will be doing that again when I reach 1,000. Long time off yet, but who knows, might fly up there sometime soon. So that's me off. Take care of yourselves, be good, and remember, always have fun, enjoy what you're doing. If you find yourself getting frustrated, walk away from it, come back 10 minutes later, and you'll realise that there was nothing to be really that worried about or fret about. It's just playing. That's all you're doing, is you're just relaxing. It's a meditation type of craft. Go and enjoy it. Take care of yourselves. If you can't be good, don't get caught. See you next time.